Hey everybody, how's it going? This is Max with BuzzTox, and I am back with another His Dark Materials Season 1, Episode 2 review. And I'm sorry this is a bit late. I'm going to usually be more punctual, particularly right after the episode drops. But I thought before Episode 3 airs, I'd give my thoughts about this episode. And I have to say, in regards to the book, the show's actually moving a lot faster. But it's also making a lot of new scenes and exploring concepts that are only really communicated in the books. And I think this episode did a great job at further fleshing out the world more. And instead of just telling us about this world, they show us. But first, I really want to touch on Lyra. We know that she's a very young, adventurous kid who's only really known life at Oxford. She's adventurous, she wants to explore, and she doesn't really want what Miss Coulter wants for her, and that's to educate herself to be an explorer, to be molded by Miss Coulter. And we see this as a recurring theme, where Miss Coulter is trying to get control over Lyra, where Miss Coulter is telling Lyra not to worry about Roger. He probably forgot about her. But Lyra is very insistent that Roger would have messaged her, and this starts the divide between the two characters, where Lyra starts to see Miss Coulter in more of a negative light, and Lyra isn't molding or adapting to Miss Coulter as fast as she would like. And it's clear that Miss Coulter wants something from Lyra. We talked last episode that Lyra is seen as this prophecy. She's a child who can save the world and do great things, but she can only do it unknowingly or discover it by herself. That's a child's curiosity. Whereas Miss Coulter is doing the complete opposite. She wants to mold Lyra to fit her own agenda. Over lunch, we see her encourage Lyra that she should educate herself so she can be a very rare case of a female explorer. And Miss Coulter tempts her by saying she could manage the men and do great things and forget about Roger. Like when Lyra's getting ready and wearing a blue dress, Miss Coulter says that blue is her color, and Lyra shakes it off and says she didn't know she had a color at all. And this is an example of molding. She's being told that blue is her color, rather than her discovering it herself. And that's something that Lyra should come to terms with. And we see her do that throughout this episode. But we see her facade start to fall. When they're taking a bath, Pantalaimon notices that the monkey is looking away. And since this monkey is a reflection of Miss Coulter's spirit, it kind of speaks poorly on her mental state, or how she's feeling. And that goes in further when they realize that this monkey is using the ducts within the apartment to go into Miss Coulter's office. And in this universe, or in this world, demons are supposed to be representations of one's spirit. It should never leave their side. It's a life companion. It's basically an animal embodiment of wearing your heart on your sleeve. And we see that Miss Coulter is able to separate herself from that aspect of her. And that's important because that feeds into exactly what Miss Coulter is up to, which Lyra ends up discovering. Lyra finds out from a journalist that the dinner party that she's at and Miss Coulter are gobblers. And the name gobbler originates from General Oblation Board, GOB. And Lyra gets a look at these experiments. We see children being separated in different compartments than their demons, almost trying to create a divide between these. And this provides further explanation because we see Miss Coulter deal with these children and burn Roger's letter to Lyra. We know that these children are going north. We know that these facilities are going to be in the north, trying to separate demons from children. And we know that children are the ideal candidate because their demons are the only ones that can form. Pantalaimon can take the shape of a badger, a moth, or a seagull. It's only when you grow old where your soul or your demon solidifies and you're no longer changeable, adaptable. And I think this takes place within a bigger story. But we know that Miss Coulter at this point can separate herself from her monkey. And we see examples of demons being a weakness. This journalist is murdered by Carlo Boreal in a car just by crushing her demon, the butterfly. The General Oblation Board could see this as a weakness. Separate themselves from their demon, a part of their soul. And they're doing that with these children because they're adaptable and they can't see dust, or they're not affected by dust. So now at this point we see Lyra leave. She escapes and she's going on to her journey where she's going to learn and adapt and hopefully fulfill her role as this savior child. She now knows that Lord Asriel is her father and is now looking for him with help with this golden compass or alethiometer. And we see Miss Coulter very upset when she brings up that he is Lyra's father. She gets visibly emotional. She's crying. And she knows surprisingly a lot about Lord Asriel. So I think down the line we could see a bigger reveal there on Miss Coulter's relationship with Lord Asriel. But moving on to the bigger aspects of this world is how does Gobblers, or the General Oblation Board, fit into this bigger world? And we get a big look at Carlo Boreal, where he's talking to the Master of Jordan College because he wants to find that frozen head that we saw last episode to study it. And when he goes in to inspect it, he realizes that it's not the person that they claimed it was. We see Carlo sneak into this new world, and it's our world. We see him go to a car, take a cell phone, and start using it. And then he visits with a man at a coffee shop, who I think is human from our world, and they're talking about their plans. Carlo asks him to look for a man with an offspray for a demon. And this is the man that Lord Asriel claimed died at the Northern Lights. And I think we're going to see this work even further. I think there are benefits to our world. We have technology. We have all of these innovations that the world that Carlo, Lyra, Lord Asriel, where they're from, it's our world, but it's altered. It's more magical, more spiritual. And where Carlo may be interested in technology, we even see him walking with a bag of chips, necessities from this world that he can't get in his own. And if we think critically about our world, one thing that we would love is a creature that represents who we are, a lifetime companion. So we may see that develop further down the road. And finally, we spend a little bit more time with the Egyptians. And these people are focused on finding gobblers, the people who are taking children. Fardar Karam is this man who decides to go inspect a building in this episode. And then we see John Fa, who's this guy, who consults this poor woman who lost her son. And it's because these Egyptians are coming onto the trail of these gobblers, we see unrest with the leaders of this world. But that's all I have to say about this episode. Please let me know what you think in the comment section down below. But until next time, see you guys later.